The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Will Rowley. I'm one of the pre-sales consultants at Cloud Direct and the Cloud Evangelist. And we're going to spend a few minutes today just talking about how cloud-based services and cloud-based products really increase resilience and continuity within an organization. By doing that, we're going to have a quick look back on some of the other webinars that we have been running. It's all part of a series based around business continuity and disaster recovery. And we've done an overview. We did a webinar which really focused on DR and backup and data availability. Then we did another webinar based on communications, everything from your voice over IP telephony, your email, through to how you communicate in a disaster. And then today we're going to look at cloud continuity, and by that, as I said a few moments ago, we're really talking about the products and services that are available on the marketplace, which intrinsically provide a resilience and a availability that goes very well hand in hand with business continuity planning. At the end of this series, these webinars will be made available, and we're also going to be issuing a disaster recovery or business continuity template. So it'll allow you guys to go off and look in your own organizations and your organizations of your clients as to where there can be greater resilience put in terms of disaster recovery, and really assess the fragility and make sure that you're able to deal with a disaster should the worst ever occur. So that's a little bit about the series that we're running at the moment. Today we're going to look at three main things. What is the cloud? Ways that you can adopt the cloud to aid in continuity, and really understanding and getting an appreciation for cloud resilience and working entirely from the cloud. So I've mentioned cloud probably 24 times already. What does it actually mean to us all? There is a huge amount of rhetoric regarding the cloud at the moment. What does it actually mean? What we'd like to break it down into kind of three main points. They're subscription-based IT services that are purpose-built, they're redundant, they're housed in infrastructure that has vastly more investment than we could ever put in our own buildings, and they're supplied by specialist technology providers who do very niche things very, very well. So what you're really paying for on a per user per month basis often is a technology or a service with a huge amount of redundancy and resilience provided by a specialist technology provider that is exceptional at what they do in that particular area. And that means from a business's point of view, they can go out and select various cloud services that fit the requirements of the business and do far, far more and far, far better than you can do in-house with your own resource. So that's what we term cloud. There will be other terms out there, but that's a nice kind of rounded idea of where we come from. So if we're looking at resilience using the cloud, I touched on a few moments ago, often cloud services, always cloud services are vended out of data centers. Those data centers are intrinsically resilient. They have dual source power feeds. They have multiple points of connectivity with the backbone of the internet. And really that means that when we're looking at some of the solutions up there, like email handling and hosted exchange, you've got an always-on service. It's always available. So if we look at email handling, this is probably the first toe in the water, if you like. There are services that provide anti-spam and filtering and almost web access to email that do that by pointing your email through a cloud-based service before it gets down to the local exchange. So by utilizing those services, you effectively can access things like Outlook Web Access for hosted exchange, or just a web mail client, which means that if you ever lose your exchange for any reason, or you lose power or connectivity at your site, as long as you can get users somewhere else, they can access their emails, they can carry on working. The hosted exchange, or Microsoft Office 365 Exchange Online service, really brings that a next stage further. So rather than having all of your emails actually sat on a server in your building, the entire email estate is then put into the cloud, residing on these intrinsically resilient services. IP telephony, much in the same way as you have your email exchange server in-house, you've probably got a PBX or a telephone system that's using ISDN or typically a similar sort of technology. And What we're doing with IP telephony is putting that PBX virtually into a data center, or providing a PBX from a data center, which means that as long as you can get an internet connection from your telephones, whether they be in your office or whether they've been relocated, then you can carry on fielding calls and making changes to things like your call routing. So should there be a disaster, you can maintain telephony. And finally, web-based collaboration. Everybody wants to access data more and more on the move from multiple different locations, not necessarily from the office. So by kind of resting on cloud-based services and collaboration services like Office 365 SharePoint, or I've seen other services that act as an online file store, it means that not only do you benefit from the agility that gives your business and being able to access and collaborate all over the globe, also it means that you're not reliant on having that data on a server in your own premises and having to look after it and maintain it and give it all the redundancy and resilience that you would want to maintain its availability. So utilizing those storage-based solutions in the cloud, apart from being agile and flexible like that, also provide an intrinsic amount of resilience. So when we look at then true cloud working, so this is where we have as little as possible on site. We can look at hosted servers. So you may have 3 or 4 servers all operating in a rack in your own office. The easiest thing to do is to take them out of there and put them into a data center where they're environmentally more sound. They're getting the power and the availability of broadband and Ethernet that they require, and you just connect to them much like you would now, usually probably using a VPN connection from your laptops and your PC estate in an office. So all the data, the real gubbins of your business and what drives it, and your line of business systems, is sat in a data center somewhere, not the responsibility of yourselves to maintain and manage and ensure that they're available. You're using a data center partner to do that. The next step on from that is actually putting the entire working environment, so the desktop from which you access your applications, and a hosted desktop environment in front of those hosted servers. So in this instance, all you need is any PC, any sort of laptop, or even most tablets nowadays, will allow you to access via remote desktop connection a hosted desktop environment. That means that your entire working environment, all your applications, all of your databases, email, everything is held in a virtualized environment, in a hosted desktop, in a data center somewhere. And that in itself is, again, more intrinsically resilient. It means that now, instead of having to relocate in a disaster, your users and your PCs, or your users require PCs to be configured and connect to the hosted servers, all they need to do is get to somewhere where they've got an internet connection and a PC. It doesn't have to be the business's PC, it can be anything. As long as they can access remote desktop, then they can get to their working environment and carry on business as usual. So really taking everything that you use on premise, moving it to a cloud or a data center, really provides that intrinsic availability. So just as a roundup then, we did touch on the webinars that we've had already, the overview that we went through, talking about business continuity planning as a whole, and some of the things that people should consider when they're business continuity planning and they're going through that process. The disaster recovery and backup, the differences between the two, that goes into some of the finer details, things like restore points objectives, restore time objectives. So we talk a bit about that and how that plays in. Again, these recordings are available. Communications, and then today the cloud continuity webinar, a very short, high-level overview you just had there. So there is a free business continuity template that we will be sending around. It goes into quite a lot of depth in terms of being able to document the processes and the information that you require in DR, or in business continuity planning. And we're more than happy to talk you through the best ways of assessing that. Get in touch with us. We'll do our best to assist in that. And we've done it ourselves for our own business when we've gone through our ISO accreditations. So haven't touched really on what we do and who we are, but we are Cloud Direct. We are a cloud services brokerage. That is to say that we vend a whole range of these solutions. Most of them I've touched on briefly. And really, we wrap that in a service that you can sort of depend on. So we're a 24/7, 365 UK-based support desk. We measure ourselves using a system called Net Promoter, and I'm not going to go over the detail there, but by all means look it up. We do very, very well by our own standards. And we have a plethora of awards and accreditations and processes that we work to. So some up there, I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through them. Really, it's just backing up the fact that we do have a huge amount of value in the service that we provide to our customers. And finally, the security aspect. There's a fair amount of apprehension regarding cloud services. Who has access to my data? Who do I trust with it? And so we go through rigorous auditing procedures with ISO, and we've reached ISO 27001 for IT data security and ISO 20000 for IT service management. Two must-have stamps, if you like, in the industry, so that you're dealing with a reputable supplier and that you can trust them with your business data. So that's a little bit about us at Cloud Direct and what we can offer. And as I say, this is part of a broader kind of discussion we're having about continuity at the moment. So if you have any queries, any questions that you'd like to raise, if you'd like us to go through that continuity template with you, that planning template, we're happy to have a chat. Our number is on screen on the bottom left there, and our email address on the right. So if there's anything that you'd like to raise, please do get in touch with us. If you think you may have any requirements, either in yourself or for any of your customers, please do have a chat with us and see what we can offer. Otherwise, I'm going to leave the conference call open just for a few moments now. If you've got any questions you'd like to address at the moment, in particular, please raise your hand or use the question box, and I'll come back to you. Otherwise, thank you very much for your time this afternoon, and we look forward to seeing you on future webinars.